Hey Jill, how are you?
I'm doing great, Margot. How are you doing?
Good. So I'm so excited that you agreed to talk with me today about a very, really special topic. Um, so before we get into this, please, share with everybody what you do and all of that good stuff.
Okay. Well, I'm a speech and language pathologist, and I have a private practice, a small private practice in Palm Springs, California. And we treat children, pediatrics, all ages of children, even little babies. We do speech and language communicative disorders. We'll do alternative communication for children with autism who need a different way to communicate using a speech generating device. We do things like that. We also do feeding, sensory feeding for children who have difficulty feeding. Or they're sensitive and defensive to certain types of food. Uh, then we treat adults as well, and with strokes, aphasia, loss of their language, and we're trying to retrain language and cognition. Also swallowing. If oftentimes after someone suffers a stroke, their muscles in their throat and their mouth get weak, and they have to relearn how to chew and develop strength in the mouth to formulate, to be able to chew and formulate their food so they can swallow it. And then we also do exercises to strengthen the muscles around the larynx so it can move properly to get the food down the right pipe. And just recently, I started transgender voice. So those male to female, transgender, trying to female feminizing form, good speech pathologist, sound more feminine or masculine. So those are some things we do here at my clinic.
That's amazing. So just to share, there's actually, which now I'm thinking about this, hearing this, that there's something I'm trying to learn this song.
Uh-huh.
So maybe when I'm ready, I'm going to share it with you, and maybe you can help me with some tips because my pitch is horrible.
Yeah, definitely. I do regular voice training too. So thankfully I sang and was musical theater. So I kind of comes a little more natural to me than a lot of speech there. So
Love that. Love that. So we're here today. I really have the honor and privilege to work with Jill and her company in doing accounting work. And Jill came to me from a recommendation, and she had a lot of different types of work to do. So, Jill, if you don't mind, what sparked you to want to inquire for the need of bookkeeping services?
well, I always knew that I needed a bookkeeper since I was horrible with math and keeping, my boyfriend calls me financially illiterate. So um, I knew that when I was 2 years behind in my taxes and I didn't know where I was as far as my book work was, um, I needed someone who actually you came recommended to me from a friend of mine who that you helped several years ago. And so it kind of just fell into place. So yes, I just knew that my bookkeeping was just not up to par, really behind. And you've been amazing at getting it up to date. Within the last few months, you've got me up to date for 2 years. So I thank you. And it hasn't been easy for me because I was so far behind, and the things you needed from me, you're very patient and getting, allowing me to get those things to you. But it sparked it because I knew that my business would not make it if I could not keep that, get that in order. Never knew what was coming or going. And so now it's actually, you have helped me. And now I see profit. Now I see what's coming and going, and I can start to see, oh, okay, well, now I see where this is. And you've just been amazing at helping me uh, get me to where I need to be and just keep me hopefully on in the future because it's a hard thing to do is bookkeeping on your own. Yeah. So
So when you say that part of like my business wouldn't have moved forward, talk about that, why you think that was.
I think that because of just not knowing, the financials of it, profit and loss, such things that I didn't know about. I just feel like if I could have possibly just spent too much or overspent, or um, not knowing how much I was making and pulling in. I think that it would be, especially with my likes to spend, and the more materials I needed, because we're constantly needing materials, but I just kept buying and buying, and without knowing really what I had and what was needed. So it potentially could have probably made myself bankrupt if I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, if I didn't find somebody who knew what they were doing to help me get caught up and on the right track.
So for all our listeners and for anybody who's out there who's in this situation, would you mind, like, would you share with them, like, maybe like a tip or like a piece of advice of like how to take that first step and not stick in that stuck situation? Because I mean, I could only imagine how you were feeling until we actually spoke and moved forward. All of those feelings and those fears possibly, what would you say to those people who possibly have that situation? Like sometimes people tell me like, I'm just going to buy QuickBooks, Margot, and then have my secretary do it,
Right.
and things like that. Would you feel like you can share so that people can spark or just even start the conversation?
Yeah. The first thing I did, I think I had to relinquish and release my control over my money. I thought, in my bank accounts. For me, it was so difficult for me to allow anyone to look into my accounts and be uh, and know about my money. I had to release that. That was very difficult for me. I didn't want anybody um, in there knowing. I don't know why, but so once I figured that out, we did try QuickBooks. I had an assistant who was trying to work on QuickBooks, but it just wasn't working. I mean, you need a person separate outside your um, to look at with different eyes and be more just objective and just know what they're looking at. I mean, he didn't know what he was looking at. He was just putting things in QuickBooks again, and things weren't working. So eventually, I just had to take the risk. And after seeing how just disorganized I was, and we couldn't always get everything into QuickBooks. It doesn't always work that easily. And the thing is, we started expanding so quickly. If it was just me, but we just all of a sudden, I went from me to having 7 employees, and which is great. It was wonderful. However, the books just were not getting done, and I knew that I finally needed to relinquish my control and find someone that really knew what they were doing to get me caught up. So yeah, that was my aha moment, was like, okay, you just got to lose control. Just let it go. You got to give it to somebody else. And that was the first thing that I did. So if there's anybody out there who's just thinking that they can, that it's easy for them, and then they can control everything, and they have the time, which you never have enough time. And we're not professionals. I went to school to get my license and my degree, so and I think that it's really important that you have a professional to do your bookkeeping. That is just so important. Everyone has their role, and my role is to be a speech pathologist and a business owner. And I realized my role was not to be a bookkeeper, and I needed a professional. So, yep.
Now being part of the process and going through where we got through the many years that we're back done, how do you feel going through that process? Do you feel like it was a good process? Do you feel like anything could have been better or different? Do you feel like it helped your business even grow, learning things, making better decisions, maybe,
Mhm.
or more supported decisions, might be a better way to say it.
Yeah, all of the above, all of the above. Like I said earlier, it really helped me understand where I was at financially, um, and then I knew I could grow, expand, and supported all along the way with even just not things that were bookkeeping related. I mean, we've had our conversations, and you're a friend, and you are very good at giving sound advice. In businesses, we've had also talks of how I could expand my business possibly and keep it growing, or possibly even sell it if I wanted to in the future. But so it's not just the bookkeeping part, it's the service, the compassion, just the one-on-one that you give. I did have a bookkeeping service that one time ago when I had, was it through one of my payroll services, which, I didn't utilize because I could never get a hold of anybody, and it was online, never face to face. So I think that discouraged me a little bit too. But you've always been encouraging, and always been patient, and giving me pointing me in the right direction the entire time. And definitely I want to continue our relationship for the future. So I'm excited about that.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. And how do you feel about the part outsourcing versus like in-house? Do you feel like at any point the concept that I was remote or like not sitting down next to you?
You
Um,
know, I think actually it's been less for me. Um, how do I want to say it? Less scary it was to me. I think I was more intimidated if I had somebody sitting right in front of me that, like, oh, they're judging me because I don't know what I'm doing. But the remoteness, in the weekly, the almost the daily at first, emails, and then the weekly contacts really helped me and put me at ease. And so I think that for me it kind of flowed, and it flowed with my schedule. I didn't have to. We kind of jive with scheduling, and although you're on the East Coast, I think it kind of it helps. You're on the East Coast time, so it kind of helps with us, because those are the times that we pick together is really beneficial, because I don't have clients at that time. So it really helped. I didn't really have to manipulate my schedule and make it crazy. So yeah, it's been lovely that in that aspect. Yeah.
so good. So the weekly development financial calls that we talk about, how fundamental or how like how do you feel? It seems like you feel like that was like a great part to the process to help you move forward. What
It
would you
really was, yeah. It's been key, the weekly discussions, and then your review with your paperwork that you send, and reminding me, because I have a million things on my plate, reminding me these are the things that we need to, I still need this. And I'm like, okay, I have to do that for Margot. And it to me, it's very helpful, because I have such a busy schedule, not only seeing clients, but doing other things that I do, and billing. And I was like, how many hats do I have to have? So I get to take off a hat this time.
get
And
to I
yeah,
love
so it's really streamlined things, and I'm so appreciative. I can't thank you enough. It's from the bottom of my heart. It's been so helpful. Money is scary. So
that. And do you feel like now that you got through it, do you feel like it's scary, like less scary, or you can
oh,
take on the
definitely.
challenges? Like could talk about the growth that you're having. So just to give a little context here, like what Jill said before about, the daily contacts, and then now we move to weekly. And sometimes we even are, it's okay to push our calls to bi-weekly. What
Yes.
happens is at first when you're so far behind, you
Hmm.
you need that regular contact. So
Yes.
we would be constantly asking for things because we understand what it's like to be behind, but portraying that and in the clients, and it takes a little bit of time. So
Hmm.
when it moves down to less, sometimes clients even message me and they'll be like, where did you go? Because we're not as we're not as frequently talking. So if you can just talk about that part, I just wonder what your thoughts are.
um, Through the process that we've been going
Yeah.
through, it really, it has helped me grow. And really honestly, I have become more responsible, I think so, and more accountable. So more accountable to things. I can't procrastinate. So I've become less of a procrastinator, getting things to you. And it's really helped me. You've helped me grow in that way, more accountable. And you recommended me to a wonderful tax person who is really helping me. So they're, you're accountable, they said that was one of the things, you have to be accountable. Do you agree to be responsible and accountable for us? And it really is. It's gives
Because you
you
can
puts a
see that, because we're taking our time and energy. It's one thing to get paid for the services, but it's like
mhm,
we truly see we truly want to see the wins behind that on your end, or like the
mhm,
better word is like breakthroughs. You
right.
know, when we see somebody who comes in 2 years, I've seen 4 years, 5 years, and whatever.
Wow.
So imagine that, but like,
I can't.
well, hopefully you should never be in that situation again,
Right.
but, and I cut you off, I'm sorry about that, but like, talk about
No.
the money fears also. Like, do you feel like you can approach a money fear easier because of this?
Yes. Yes, I do. And I know I'm not alone. You know what I mean? I'm not claiming to know anything about bookkeeping or anything, on that level, but I know that if I had a question, I don't have any more fears, but I do still have questions. And I know that I can depend on, talking to you, emailing you, setting up a meeting with you, and that I'm not alone. So that is not scary to me anymore. Yeah. So definitely that's been huge. And you've been instrumental in taking those fears away. And I know that I can trust you. I think I've never trusted anybody before. So with, finances or anything like that, I've always done it on my own. So, or tried anyway,
Good.
failed, but yeah, so definitely I'm so happy and I'm so glad I found you. It's funny when you're looking for things and you just can't find them. And then you're like, oh, this is a great little, we've got a nice little niche going, good relationship. So, definitely, like I said, I definitely have to keep it continuing. So yeah.
Absolutely. So the last thing I just want to touch on, like when you with the support, lots of times I hear from clients, they're afraid to bring in support.
Hmm.
Um, would you mind touching on that a little bit? How to help people possibly try to trust, or just take that one step, or maybe one step that you took that helped. I know you were saying about, letting go control of the money,
Hmm.
but let's say to Margot, or any professional, that type of idea.
um you know that you have your profession, like I said before, and I can't do everything. And as you know, I've been trying. And you've also encouraged me to pass on duties, which is great because again, I'm not a micromanager, but I am a control freak and I'm letting go of that. But um that your business, you're good at the person, the business owner, that's what they're good at, and that's why they started a business. So that's their business. So um there is um there are roads for everybody to be on, and I have my path as a business owner and a therapist as well. And there's paths for other people, and then there's bookkeeping paths, and there's tax people. You wouldn't, with a business, you wouldn't try to do the business taxes on your own. It would be impossible unless you're really financial wizard. So yeah, I think that it's just know where you are, your path, and give up control and realize that, you're doing what you're doing. So allow someone else to do what they need to do. Yeah.
Oh,
So that's,
love
yeah,
it. Know your path, give up control, and go.
exactly. Hmm.
Know that.
Yeah. So it's the last few months I've really been learning that. And I've been able to, it's funny because now I'm able to allow my staff, my clinical director that I just appointed, and my administrative assistant, they work so well together. And I've had to release of kind of not what's going, like now I'm not what's going on in my, what's going on, what are you doing over there? But they're so good to, I've given up release of just knowing everything about what's going on. So it's not just bookkeeping, it's in my life. I actually can take some time off and leave and know that everything is going to be okay for while I'm gone for a day or two. Well, they've got it handled. And So that's helped, and I think that when you allow that in one area, then it's going to totally cross over to other areas in your business, not just the bookkeeping. I think that it'll make you a better boss, I think too, definitely.
Love that. Love that.
Yeah. So,
Love that. So that concludes everything I want to ask. Is there anything else that possibly you want to share about this topic?
well, like I said before, just not necessarily about the topic, just more about your demeanor and how you approach everything. There's been times when I've been really frustrated because I'm like, I'm too busy to get this to you. And I haven't known where to find the information you needed. And you've been nothing but patient. And I really appreciate that. There's never been any um, uh, I think there was one time where I was just like, I can't deal with this. But you've always been very supportive and say, okay, let's, so it's not just a business relationship. It feels like a little friendship, a little connection. So, and if you're like that with everybody else, then you're definitely loved as a person, not just a bookkeeper. So, yeah. And like I said, I have to thank you so much because you've been just great in all other aspects besides just the bookkeeping. So
Thank you.
that's important. That's important.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
You know, so just to talk for a minute, when I met Jill, you know, um, it just clicked. Her willingness, to work together and to help serve her more. Like it just like for me, like I just want to so much because she receives it so well and she soaks in the information. And I really am touched that she took the time, to do this interview with me because, there's a lot of people out there that, come to me for help and they're just afraid.
Mhm.
And as a client, as a person, and just all around, um, she's family to me.
Aw.
And I'm gonna cry. So, you
No,
know,
you don't have any makeup on. Don't do run mascara. Thank you. I feel the same way actually too. So that's
good.
wonderful. Yeah, it's been amazing. So wonderful journey. So we're gonna have some more. I mean, I feel like if you were here, we go out to dinner and just not even talk about business, just as friends. But you're far away, so yeah, not gonna
We
happen.
will one day. So, um, you know, I hope this inspires you for all of you who are listening. And, you just take that leap for the first step. I hope today you got inspired by this. And, you just do one thing. If it's having a conversation with me, or if it's taking a freebie of our workbook or something like this, just
Mhm.
to take that one step. And then even listen to this interview again to get inspiration, so that you can just take a step forward in your business. I'm going to say one quick story.
Okay.
I had a client a few years ago, and I told him he didn't need to make more money. He just needed systems and processes. He was like livid with me. And he called me back and he goes, "Are you that girl that said I didn't need to make any more money?" And I said, "Yes, I am." He ended up hiring me. And then, like, within 6 months later, he came back. He goes, "You were so right. Just by the accounting process alone and the knowing you make more
Right.
money, you have time off, and you just get more internal peace." And
Yes.
so, with that being said, I thank you, Jill, for today. I thank you, everyone, for listening. And I look forward to talking to you soon. And Jill, if anybody wants to talk with you about services for speech,
Mhm.
any of those incredible things, how can they reach you?
We're Milestone Speech and Language Therapy. We're located in California, Palm Springs. We're a small company growing very quickly. We do offer in-clinic services now with all the precautions for COVID, but we're also doing teletherapy, which is nice. It's really nice for older children or adults who just are still too worried about coming out. And or it just works better for their schedule. So we're doing that now through Zoom. And you know, the one thing I do have to say, you could be in a different state. However, we have to be license. So if anybody's there in California, we can see anyone in California from anywhere. If you're interested in services for your child or adult, parent. So definitely give me a call, and at Milestone Speech and Language Therapy in Palm Springs. And yeah, you can speak with Jyll or Claudia.
Is there an email possibly you want to share?
Yes, you can reach me at Jyll, that's JYLL, at milestoneslp.org. And there's 2 S's, Milestones SLP. So if you don't only put one, then you won't reach me. So yeah.
If anything, feel free to contact me, and then I'll hook that up. And that's it. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Margot. It was a pleasure.
Absolutely. Right back at you. Thank
you. Okay, and I'll see you on Thursday.
Absolutely.
Take care. Bye.